listening to Strides and Vibes. Whether you're on a long run, a lunch break, or stretching out with your foam roller, welcome to the podcast all about moving better, living healthier, and vibing higher. I'm your host, Mario Bulks, elite running coach, ultra-endurance athlete, and founder of Healthetica Coaching, coming to you from the trails, tracks, and streets of Gadigal country in Sydney, Australia. Each episode, I'll bring in guests from all walks, from coaches, athletes to world-class performers, as well as doctors and professionals in their fields, to unpack their stories and explore the mindset shifts, science, and practical strategies that help us go the distance in running and in life. So, lace up, tune in, and let's move towards a better you, one stride at a time. Hello again. Welcome back. Welcome to the Strides and Vibes podcast. Live, you'll have a recording later, but for us it's live from the Dominican Republic and good old sunny Australia. Today we have a great guest again. His name is Zach Scannapieco. Like I said, he lives in the Dominican Republic. And why have we got Zach on? It's pretty simple. Zach does things that I've never known even existed. So in this whole fitness, wellness, and health space. But I'm not the one talking about Zach. I would like Zach to talk about himself. So as always, the first question after I welcome you, thanks a lot for coming on. Zach, what makes you you?
Well, yeah, thanks for having me, Mario. Excited to be here. And to answer that question, I would say someone who's certainly always working on optimizing things. And whatever that is, if we want to go have a meal, I'm thinking about what am I going to eat? What's the best for me at that point in time? And, am I sitting in the right seat and random stuff like that? But as athletes, that can make us very driven to push hard in whatever we're doing or be competitive. And that was me for a very long time and probably still is. But, if we're always trying to over optimize, that can also lead to some discontent, which I found throughout my life as well. And then I started to course correct the other way, and potentially some might think I over optimize in that direction. But that's just, I would say, a bit about, a glimpse of who I am at the start.
Very interesting. Thanks a lot. Yeah, look, I think we're in the right space here, right? This is, we have listeners that do ultra endurance events who are always looking at optimizing. We're all a bit out there, which is correct. We have to be. It's independent of where we're at in our life, and I find that very interesting. That this is the first thing, the optimizing of things. I always try as well, and it drives everybody mad around me, of course, but that's okay. People get, So, I see you on social media. I'll just quickly tell the audience how I got to know you. I don't know you, of course, but I will after today a lot better. I found you on LinkedIn, of all places, actually, together with my wife. You were doing Tai Chi, and it was a 7-minute Tai Chi session, and I'm like, oh, that's doable. And that, again, sparks for me, when I speak to a lot of people who want to kind of get fitter and healthier and better in whatever they're doing. I don't have time is always the right. And what amazes me with what you're doing and what you're showing and the videos you're putting out, there's no more excuses. It's like that can be done. You can do that before bed, just when you get up, after lunch, before lunch, after dinner, in the middle of the afternoon, we go for a walk. What you put out is very, very practical, and I want to thank you for that. And I have to be honest, you're the one who got my wife doing it as well, which is amazing. I've been a personal trainer and a running coach and a fitness freak for a few years now. And it's always difficult to get your spouse to do what you think is right, because that's just okay. So thank you for that. So we see you on social media. how do you go about your normal life? So who is Zach beyond this social media? Well, just to give us a little bit about your story. How did you get into this kind of living and this style of life?
Yeah, I guess it depends on how far back we want to go.
Or just,
But
maybe childhood up, there must be a turning point. I always call it the flick of the switch moment. Yeah, maybe go back to that.
yeah, well, growing up, I was always playing sports. And when you're in high school trying to determine what to do, I think it was pretty apparent between me or my colleagues that I was very much into health and wellness. But at that time, I didn't want to be viewed as a trainer or go to school as a trainer. For whatever reason, there was a bad stigma in my mind about that. And most people, being competitive, were thinking about how are we going to earn a lot of money? And when you're thinking about your career, just in terms of that, it's probably not the best frame of mind. However, that's, I didn't know too much better at the time. So, although I knew my passion was somewhere, I also wanted to please my ego or the ego of the family, whatever it was. So I decided, because I was good at math, well, what has, different opportunities? Engineers, mechanical engineers. So that's what I ended up deciding. I did play very competitive soccer as well as lacrosse, so lots of running there. So I'm with you on that. But deciding on mechanical engineer as well as potentially continuing playing a sport, and I've found a school that I was able to do mechanical engineering as well as play lacrosse. So, to what I described earlier in terms of optimizing, as an engineer, you're always optimizing. As an athlete, I was always pushing hard, charging hard. And I also, you know, push things hard outside of the field or studies as well. So the old phrase, work hard, play hard. And, I had a very active social life. And I thought, if we want to be excelling in different areas, how can we make all that work? So my schedule was filled every, 30-minute hour block. It was planned out through college and between studying and lacrosse and social life and part-time job and whatever it was. And that, when we're on our own in college, I think we learn a lot about our habits and our routines, and I was developing a lot of those during those years. And it got to a point where I was burning the candlestick at both ends, and it became too much. And I didn't realize that until probably my senior year of college. But for those of us that are really pushing hard in different areas, we can have high expectations of ourselves or just put too much on our shoulders, and it can start to weigh on us. Additionally, what I mentioned in terms of working hard and playing hard, when you're pushing hard in, your studies and your sport, but also, you know, having a good amount of alcohol on the weekends or late nights, and then you're waking up feeling terrible, but you still got to go to practice or you still got that exam or whatever it is. And yeah, that became a pretty big eye opener when I was studying for final exam and had a panic attack
Wow.
and had to go to uh I ended up visiting one of the people on campus. I believe it was a doctor on campus, and explained what happened, and she basically said, hey, what you're doing is not sustainable.
Wow.
Because when I say
At that young
optimize,
age, huh? What's that? 18, 19, senior year?
senior year is probably, well, when I say college, university.
Sorry. Okay. So you're like in your early 20s. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, early 20s. And she, I shared a good amount of my habits, but probably not even to the full extent. And when I say optimize, like, back then it's having coffee to get going, and even experimented with some of the study enhancement things like Adderall, even though I
Mm-hmm.
probably didn't necessarily need it. But, in college, you're trying to get ahead. And unfortunately, people try to do what they can to get ahead in those areas. And it came to a point where I was relying on supplements or whatever to just accelerate the timeline in different things. So, around that same time, and probably what also had a big impact on me and my nervous system was, let's say I would front load all of my studying in the first few days of the week and get all of it out of the way. That way, practice and partying was prioritized for the latter half of the week. And there'd be sub substances that I would take to help with studying, and then maybe substances that I would take to help with partying. And you'd ride, it'd be a weekend, and you'd have a certain cocktail to start off the Saturday and go to the game, and certain energy drinks to keep you going throughout all of it. And it was just a lot for my system. And at a certain point, I'd take certain downers as well on
Mm-hmm.
Sundays to really chill things out because there was so much anxiety. And, that's not a good thing either. So I think that's a very relevant thing to my story because people see this chilled out guy doing qigong, tai chi, meditation, breathwork. But in the past, I was still optimizing, just with not the right methods or not the most sustainable methods. And I did end up having some eye-opening experiences that introduced me to better methods, whether it was, a professor that had us get started on a little project of experimenting with meditation. And in those
Oh,
moments, I
nice.
realized how off my current state was because of just, you know, habits or whatever it was. Um,
It's
and
interesting,
even,
you know, I have a weight loss journey behind me. So similar to what you're doing and hard, like really hard. I just want to briefly say this. I'm a mechanical engineer as well by trade. I
as,
was a service engineer traveling the world, installing machinery. So you're doing two things, maybe
mhm,
three if you get time to sleep, right? So you work hard, play
mhm,
hard, you're in a country, you're in your 20s anyway. And, you know, people know my story. But you only know how bad you are or in what bad shape you are once you start finding that, oh, wow, that's how good feels, right? And, or you look at pictures of yourself and you think, hold on, because the scale says one thing, that's like a huge number, fine. But then you see a picture of yourself and you think, wow, okay. So, but for you to have that professor to give you that kind of task to do,
mhm.
that's pretty good. I bet that guy is held highly in your world, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Smart, yeah. So I think transitioning from that, so you did the meditation. So what did that entail? That would be interesting for me to know. What did that project entail? That meditation project?
Well, that first day that he introduced it, he had us just sit there and meditate for 5 minutes and then share and journal about how it was. And that 5 minutes felt like an hour or longer. And there was so much going on in my mind that it was probably from a bunch of things, whether it was I just had a lot on my plate. And, like I mentioned, in terms of the uppers and the downers and it was everywhere. And even this can have a big impact on us. So social media and our mind is just always on and on and on. And that 5 minutes was a wake up call. And he had us continue with that to try to do it on our own over the next few weeks and always journal about it. So I did do that. I pursued it. And yeah, it was eye opening. And, that led to wanting to learn and study a bit more. And once I started listening to podcasts back around that time, and Tim Ferriss, if you know of his podcast, was
Oh,
one that
yes. Yeah.
I started listening to. And, I started to pick up on the commonalities. And one of the things that, he also interviews high performers in all these different realms. And one of the things that they all always, or a thing that a good amount of them had in common, was meditation or certain other practices like that. So it was very interesting to me at the time. So I decided to pursue it more so. And then, that just trickled down into other opportunities, attending my first yoga class, and then a monk coming on campus and attending that. And it just continued on from there over the coming weeks, months, and years. But to kind of loop it back to how I'd gotten to where I am now, it was essentially just being very much the other way and realizing that it wasn't the best sustainable system. And not only did I have that panic attack at studying for that final exam, but there were other occurrences of this over the years where I started to, get more interested in the other side of things and more balance.
Isn't it interesting, Zach? You just mentioned Tim Ferriss, and there's many guys out there. Not many, but there's like a few that I follow, and I'm like, okay. A guy called Ben Greenfield. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah.
He got me into this, and he's totally going, and it's great, right? Sometimes it's good. You just see this is the total extreme, bio,
Hmm.
whatever, he's just like, and that's good because that got me thinking. But it always brings, they've all got one or two things in common. It's like the biggest business guys in the world, these billionaires, they have two or three things in common. They all do the same thing in a way, right? They have a whatever strategy or whatever it is. And the same is in the health and wellness space. Um, a good friend of mine, again, one of my mentors, a guy called Kai Bretz. He's a German Australian ultra runner, one of the best that we've ever produced here. And luckily enough, a close friend of mine. He was my running partner. He always paces me when he's around, and he's also an author. And he had these moments as well, And he's never been that extreme like us, where we had a drink and stuff. But he had other issues which he describes in the book. And he also meditates like hell, and that's yeah. And for me, I I crewed for him, solo crewed for him on a 500-kilometer event. So he was running, I was just his crew, and we had this camper van, and I had to follow him and stuff. Every morning he'd get up, and he was that good at meditating that I'm not a quiet guy, right? I'm like, boom, 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 everything's noisy. At 4, he'd get up, he'd do his thing, and then he'd meditate, and he wouldn't even hear me. I'm like, amazing. So, just living that, and I can just pick. That's why I'm telling you this story, and I don't want to take over the conversation, of course, but just the impact that had on me as well. Meditate. I do it now, like for many years. I don't do it, and the good thing about meditation is it's not something you say, I'm going to do it at 2 this afternoon. It's like, now I need quiet time, and you can either just put your head down, or you can sit, you can look out the window or something like that. So yeah, amazing. And I hope people take something away from this, because I know a lot of successful ultramarathon runners globally and endurance sports enthusiasts. Meditation is key. It's this being present, being in the moment. If you're goal driven, if you run 100 miles and you think, oh, 162 kilometers late. No, you have to be in the moment, So,
Uh-huh.
okay. Okay. So you are a mechanical engineer, yeah? You passed that test? Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah,
Excellent.
graduated and worked in that field for a period of time.
Excellent. Well done. Excellent. Yeah, and yeah, it resonates with me, right? You will never get rid of this mechanical engineering thinking where things are structured. We don't necessarily question everything, but it's like, hold on, how can I do this? And suddenly you set up your day, yeah, like that, or your weeks, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And what I like is, yeah, you did the studying in the beginning of the week. I've never heard that before. That's fantastic. I like that, actually. It's great advice for youngsters, but you have to get out of it. It's a good idea. So just swinging a little bit forward now, what does wellness actually mean to you? Just your personal view of wellness.
Yeah, it's probably evolved over the years where, during that time or before it was probably one thing, which, I was still always trying to optimize things. So I've had a six pack since the day, I started lifting weights in first year of high school, just because that was appealing to me. And yeah, I was always in the gym, have been ever since the day I got in a gym. And I knew that it would benefit me on the lacrosse field or even the soccer field. In soccer, I was just the guy who could run and just always run, and also, you know, bump bodies with people if we needed that. But back then, wellness was looking good physically, but it certainly evolved a lot since then. And, through the help of listening or studying people like Ben Greenfield or Tim Ferriss. But with all of what I described previously, like my nervous system and my mental and emotional state hit some very low points. And, as an engineer or someone always looking to optimize, you always, you want things to be a certain way. And if it doesn't go that way, then at least for myself, I'd be a bit crippled mentally, emotionally. So I always describe this certain point in my life where from the outside, you would have looked at me and be like, that dude's ripped and really healthy. But all those things were happening behind the scenes, like I described. I was relying on substances or alcohol or whatever it was. Now, from, how I've evolved, wellness in my eyes is feeling good daily, physically, mentally, emotionally, having the energy and focus that you would like to have, as well as being calm and relaxed and present. And I didn't have that back then, but through lots of, I guess, optimizing, I definitely have changed things and do feel that I have that now.
Amazing. Yeah, it's every day I learn something as well, and today is huge, of course, with you on the call. This optimizing. Are you the other thing? Just a question for me, because I had to learn to let go. Right, I had to learn to okay. I had to learn two things in the last few years: let go of things, right, because you can't change them, and ask for help. Right, people who knew better than me instead of me trying. Because as an engineer, you're on your own somewhere in a country. You're the one on that machine. You're the only one who can help this customer now. So that over 20 years, it's hard to get away from that because you can't ask anybody. The guys who know are in Switzerland because I work for Swiss companies, and they're asleep because I'm in a different time zone. So,
Yeah.
and the customer needs to produce whatever he wants to produce. So getting away from that. So I hear a little bit of that in you as well, but can you let go and say, okay, 80% is good enough? Or are you continuously saying, no, I need to go to what you think is like perfection? Do you think you're a perfectionist, or you just want to optimize to get these little 1%ers? And sorry, I need to mention the 1%ers because I have a podcast with my friend called the 1%ers Performance Podcast, where we say, okay, you need to do the 99%. We can then help you with the last little bit. And it's sports related and stuff like that. So, sorry, back to my question. Optimizing to be perfect, or optimizing just to improve incrementally every day?
Well, yeah, I would say more in line with the latter in terms of improving day by day.
I look, if we want to make room for something, right, to
Mm-hmm.
get better and improve, we need to let go of other things sometimes to just get to move forward, to make that forward step. That was my question. Sorry, I should only ask one question at a time. I do apologize.
It's all good. I'll let go of that.
Oh, nice. I love
No,
it. Awesome.
but no, I mean, in terms of what you're describing, that's something that now is what I help people with, or I don't think we're ever gonna fully be complete masters of that in our own regard, because things are always going to come up, but we can certainly get better at it. And back to optimizing, it's like, what are we optimizing for? So previously, if I thought success or health was one thing, and it turned out that it wasn't necessarily, because mentally, emotionally, it wasn't as nice or as happy or as calm or as content, then I wanted to learn and optimize or improve that aspect. So I went really deep in studying and learning a lot about the mind, the emotions, the physical tension in the body. And that's what led me to study things deeper. And as someone who's always looking to learn, from the day I graduated university, I've been reading a book every single week on self-development or improving in different areas. And it's a lot of books over the years. uh, and yeah, a lot of them are within the mind, emotions, spirituality even. But uh, I ended up, that's what led to pursuing these things of qigong, which Tai Chi stems off of qigong, and then meditation, breath work, yoga, Taoist inner alchemy, and a lot of this stuff. Um, and that was probably a big transitioning or turning point about 4 years ago for myself, where I was still, very much in that optimizing mindset. I had come across meditation, yoga, but I didn't have a complete approach to it, where there'd be a few days of strength training, few days of running, few days of cycling, few days of yoga, few days of breath work. Although, physically, my energy was kind of up and down. There'd be some good times, some bad times. Mentally, emotionally, it was the same. I realized there was still room for growth. Everyone I was studying or learning from was saying something different, whether it was Ben or Tim or whoever else, all these different people. Um, or if we talk about people like Michael Singer or Eckhart
Hmm.
Tolle or Sadhguru, at a certain point, um, I came across someone who was describing things in a different way, but it was as if they had combined what everybody else was saying. And I ended up, changing the approach, where it wasn't just, doing all these things in a sporadic kind of manner. It, if I wanted to be calm and relaxed daily, or if I want to have high energy daily, there are specific things that you can do to achieve that. And when I started implementing that daily in pursuit of this certain thing, after, a few months of implementing a very specific process to achieve this, there was a big shift in my overall state, in terms of, what we're talking about with letting go, and uh, more so on the mental, emotional side of things, and being content or calm and relaxed. Where,
Content is the word.
yeah, where for a majority of my life, I'd be lying to you if I said, yeah, I'm content or I'm calm and relaxed. But through what I've just described, I think actually did get to a point that, on a daily basis, being able to achieve this calm or contentness and retraining the mind and the body to let go ultimately.
Perfect. Thank you. That's really good. I like the thoughtful aspect of it all, and you're connecting the mind and body, which is very, very important. And I really hope the listeners get a lot away, from this podcast, because this is what I want to achieve, for people to just sit back. Plus, it's also a thing um, for men as well. Sometimes, we feel like we need to be everything to everybody and be hard and strong and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going into that now. I have a good friend of mine who works with that. He has his own podcast. A fella called Mark Tully. He's into this whole, mental health for men, looking after yourself as men as well. Because that's also important. And I'm not doing any gender differentiation. My last podcast was with two power women who do that as well, who have to be strong because they've got kids and they run long and they have to train and have full-time jobs and stuff like that. So it's got nothing to do with gender, but we sometimes forget a little bit that us blokes, we kind of just, and you mentioned it earlier, on the outside, all hunky-dory, as they say, but then on the inside, there's all sorts going on. So it's just this mind-body connection. I just want to touch on Tai Chi briefly before, hopefully, at the end of the podcast, we get a couple of little things that people can take away. And of course, I will share all your information at the end of the podcast, in writing, so people can get in touch with you if you have any questions, hopefully. I know you've got a website as well, so if people want to learn more and follow you, of course, which is the idea. So just a quick one on Tai Chi. So how does Tai Chi change the way you experience your body? That's something I mean, I've only been like a true beginner, so I don't know much about it yet. But how do you see this?
Yeah. And just for some context, I think I do share information on a lot of stuff. Um, I am certified in certain practices of, say, qigong and breathwork and meditation and some strength and some yoga stretches and some Tai Chi movements. What maybe gets the most attention could be the Tai Chi movements or the videos on Tai Chi, but I try to make it equivalent in terms of the information that I share about both. So I don't want to come off as just a Tai Chi guy or a Tai Chi expert because it's just one of the tools that I make use of. And I wouldn't, it is a very effective tool, but um, I'd be remiss to, not mention the others or
Absolutely.
gloss over the other ones.
No, of course. No. I just don't want to. If we go into every single one, we'll be here for 4 hours. So I had to
Right.
pick one. So I do
Yeah.
apologize. Definitely no intention of pigeonholing what you do. No. Yeah, absolutely.
No worries. That being said, they're all, beneficial in different areas. And yeah, I think it's important to think about what's our goal? What are we trying to achieve with anything? So, there's many different styles of training physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, but what do people want? Do they want to be an endurance runner? Do they want to lose weight? Do they want to be super ripped? But I think most people could agree that they want to have good energy levels, stable energy levels, to feel calm in their body. And that being said, there's certain things that we can do to be able to achieve that. And practices like Tai Chi or Qigong are certainly what can help to achieve that. The mind body connection and allowing energy to flow through the body in a manner that, doesn't drain us, but actually gives us energy, as well as releases tension from certain areas. Because I don't think enough people realize how much physical tension plays a role in their life or how they feel mentally, emotionally. If we are not feeling well mentally, emotionally, we're likely tensing up somewhere in our body. But if we can acknowledge that and relax in those moments, then yeah, things can be improved, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. And if we were to call out many different examples, that time when you were, angry or upset about something, there was somewhere in our body that we were tensing up. And when we do that, it traps that emotional charge and we continue feeling that way. But if you were to, get a massage or get out of a hot tub or a hot shower, your body's very loose and relaxed. We're not that tense, or we're normally feeling a bit better mentally, emotionally. And when we understand that or realize that, then it's like, wow, I should be, really conscious of the tension, physical tension in my body and how often I am releasing it or getting rid of it. Same thing. So that's on the tension side. But
Mm-hmm.
additionally, on the energy side, when are we not feeling good? Well, you're not feeling good after a long car ride. You're pretty tired, or if you stay up later than you need to, or if your sleep got interrupted, or whatever it is. If we've been doing certain tasks for many hours, and our energy becomes low, we become short tempered, or yeah, it can have a negative impact. We don't want to do the thing. We procrastinate. We end up sitting on our phone because our energy's low and we don't want to do whatever it is. So that's the other main aspect of, if we want to have high energy and even cognitive energy, well, what can we do to achieve that? And for a long time, I was just, reaching for a substance, coffee, yerba mate tea, maybe some nicotine. But those things have side effects, or
Last is
they're temporary, or we're taken from Paul to pay Harry type of thing. But what if we could just naturally, get that energy flowing by moving the body, getting rid of the tension that's in the body, because our body is a bunch of pipes that are distributing energy. And if they're stagnant, then, there's not much that's able to flow through it. But if we are able to unkink those pipes, allow things to open up, maybe get some velocity going through it, energy picks up and we feel good.
I look, I love it, right? I love this. This is why you're on. I don't do 5% of what you do, not even 1%, but the way you describe things is just fantastic. Thank you very much. It's easy to understand the pipe analogy. And none of it costs millions to do, right? This is the key. It's the whole coaching aspect, and I can see that you coach this to people, and you run people through it in a very amazing fashion and a very easy to understand fashion, and this is what I try to do as well, and pass on to my runners, and obviously when you work colleagues, we're all like this. You've just spoken about a day of my life. That's it, right? I have a coffee. Everybody knows I love my short black espressos. I drink a lot less than I used to. It's just something I absolutely love, the taste. Do I need it? Probably not. The biggest change, or the biggest change I have seen is I have constant energy all day. Yes, do I take a nap every so often when I have to, because I have long days. I work for an overseas company, so I have a lot of meetings at night and stuff, and start early, do my running and so on. But I think hopefully a lot of people can resonate with, or it resonates with a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, I'm like this. And the first thing we do is go to the phone. We're not doing this. I like the we procrastinate because we're kind of run down a little bit and we don't feel great. Yeah. Just another one that I think as well, people always aspire to be happy. Happy is an emotion, can go within a second. If you're content, that is much more, it's a bit deeper. It's like motivation and drive. I differentiate between the two. I don't know how you see it. It's like motivation is like an emotion. Yeah, I'm motivated. And then the 4 a.m. alarm clock goes off and suddenly the motivation is not there anymore. But if you have drive, that 4 a.m. alarm clock goes off, says, yeah, I'm going to put my stuff on and I'm going to go and do whatever I have to do that morning. So
Mm-hmm.
you work with a lot of people. Why are so many people constantly on? Have you come up with something where you can say, guys, this is one little, I know there's no magic pill to anything, absolutely not. But why are so many people always on? What are we trying to do? What's your experience?
They're a lot of the times maybe too much in their head and not in their body enough. And that's the very short answer to it.
Great. It's a
Which
great
in
answer.
today's world and how it's designed and how things are set up, we're just on devices all the time, where over the course of evolution, this is totally, not normal for our biology. And yeah, in the past, we would have been, out in nature and doing a lot more physically. And now sometimes the most movement someone gets is just going to the gym. But even that in itself is a bit abnormal, and the things that we're doing there, and a few sets of this, a few sets of that, and uh not fully feeling every single part of our body. So one of the things that I've learned and really like to implement and teach and distill into others is that when we feel a lot better physically, that has a big impact on us, like mentally. And if we're too much in our head, we just need to get back into our body and work on our physiology. If you want to change how you're feeling, one of the best and fastest ways to do that is changing your state physically. So
Right.
if someone's not feeling well, we can, do something as simple as just hopping up and down, and your state will get changed after you do that for 30 seconds or longer, or whatever it is. So,
Or
yeah,
even
to do,
start with standing at your desk, like I'm guessing you're doing.
yeah.
Right. So am I. So, yeah, because you're always in a different position. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So to change, okay. So to just recap, because I think this is a golden nugget here for everybody. So to change your state of what you're in is just a matter of moving. Doesn't matter what, just do changing something in your body, the state of your body, right? If I
Yes.
understood that correctly, I'm just asking what probably a lot of people are thinking now, saying, okay, how did he mean that? Yeah.
Yeah, essentially in the most basic terms.
Mm-hmm.
And, we could go down a few different avenues of this. But if someone was not feeling well mentally, emotionally, we could, like, one of the best and fastest ways to change that is to, work with their physiology, do something physically, whether that's some movement or some stretching or some breathing. If you do all three, you're going to feel a lot better quicker. And it all comes down to the amount of energy that's flowing and the amount of tension that's there. Low energy, high tension, no good. Or as we say, or, in some of these Latin American countries, I mean, no bueno.
No bueno,
But
eh? No
if,
bueno.
uh, if energy is high and our body is loose and calm and relaxed, then we're content. And,
Love it.
I've experienced this to both extremes. I can assure you, I'm in a much better spot mentally when I really doubled down on this and fully optimized it to go for how can I make sure I have very good and high consistent energy and a very loose and relaxed body? So, what I said earlier, I mean, Tai Chi, Qigong are great at releasing tension uh, and increasing energy, but so are things like, some exercising or some breath work or stretching, which, I think people just need potentially a reframing on some of those things in terms of stretching or whatever it is. Or, people do yoga, but are they skipping out on the meditation aspect or the pranayama, the breathing aspect?
Hmm. Yeah, it's all a combination of everything. Yeah, it just always brings me back to this whole magic pill situation. I mentioned it earlier on. People come to me as well. Oh, what's one workout that'll make me a better runner? I says, probably the 5, 6 mornings you get up and get it done, right? That's your magic pill. And if you're not prepared to do that, then, the other thing as well is people also have to be coachable in a way or willing to change. If you don't have that willing, so there's that tension already, that barrier that people don't want to change. Um, just a couple of things before we round it out with some quick fire, perhaps fun questions. My personal question to you: what technology do you use? I saw that ring. Is that an aura ring? Because I have the old whoopie doopie here. That tells me how terrible I am in the morning with my HRV and all this. So you've got an aura ring. What else? What else do you follow? Just out of interest. Ah, the Apple Watch. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of health, yeah, I would say just the Apple Watch and the Oura Ring. Let me think if there's anything else. For like data and things or like
Yeah, I
equipment.
don't know, are you interested in this data? Do you want like, I always double check. I mean, I know how I feel, but then something else tells me different. I'm a big
Mhm.
believer in running to heart rate. I'm a huge fan of Phil Maffetone and his math method. So easy has to be easy, hard has to be hard. So you've got that 80-20 thing. I've just finished reading the book, The Norwegian Method, because people are now realizing that they've been doing it quite right since 30, 40, 50 years in terms of cross-country skiing, this whole, how can you add volume to your training without breaking? So they've found that formula, so stuff like that. But like with you, you follow certain people over many years, they've had success with what they're doing, so it can't be wrong, right? Not that I
Mhm.
copy everything. I have my own, because
Mhm.
I'm also certified in many things. You kind of mix that in.
Mhm.
But there is certain tools nowadays that we have available, and why shouldn't we use it? We are going to be older than everybody else. Maybe not the next generation. They're going to be
Mhm.
struggling, but we are still in a good way where we can still, yeah. So I say, why not? I mean, I run with my watch. I want to know, how it's going, but it's not freaking me out if things aren't great. So
Mhm.
yeah, and the same goes with the Whoop. I check it in the morning. I want to see how much I've slept, just to give people an idea what's out there, without advertising. I'm not sponsored in any way for anything. But yeah. Uh, so ordering Apple Watch, yeah. So simple things, right? Plus, you need to check in. So what do you do in the morning? Just my very last question on that. What do you do in the morning when you get up? Is there a certain specific thing you want to know, or do you just get up and say, yeah, I feel loosey goosey. Let me get on with it with the day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, to answer some of that, in terms of the tech or data, it's mainly the Apple Watch and the Oura Ring. But in terms of extremes, I used to be very much in, more materials and more supplements and more technology, the better. And then I ended up going completely the opposite direction through, um, studying these different things and becoming a nomad and, you know, living out of a suitcase and not being able to carry so many supplements and technology with me to where I had to kind of strip it down to the essentials. And through that process of, just needing to travel and couldn't take so much with me and what do I essentially need? That's kind of how it happened originally, and then when I went back to using those things, I'm like, "Oh, they don't really make that much of a difference for me." So it kind of it was more things previously, it got dwindled down, and although I would consider myself a biohacker, and I think it's very interesting what all this tech and things that biohackers use, I also, um, have experimented with them and also, done things to just get down to the basics. And if I had to choose between, being able to walk outside right now barefoot in the grass and get some sunlight versus some sort of gadget that might be able to give me 10% of those results, I'm going things related to nature all day. And I've, tracked the stuff, the basic stuff with an aura ring in terms of resting heart rate, HRV, and um, everything else, and sleep. When it comes to like, all right, am I doing better with more gadgets or less gadgets? And it turns out, from what I found, less gadgets and just really good habits and routines. So, all that being said, my morning, I'm very big on subconscious work, programming. So when I wake up, I play an audio that is kind of priming my subconscious for the day as I'm in that, those certain brainwave states where our subconscious is more accessible. So I'm playing that audio while I'm still lying there, barely waking up. And once that's over, then I get up and I start my day and I go right into this routine um, that I teach and I'm certified in, which it includes the 5 methods that I've already mentioned. It includes some qigong and some tai chi movements, and then some calisthenic movements, and then some yoga stretches and breath work and meditation. And all 5 of those methods, it's in 60 minutes. There's 60 moves, and I do that every single morning, and I have for over 4 years. And when I was talking
16
about,
moves, 16 minutes.
yeah, and when I was talking about optimizing, well, if I want to have high energy, good focus, calm and relaxed, loose body every day, I'm going to do the thing every day to achieve that. And this approach is by far the best thing that I've found to be able to achieve that. That's what I do. It's part of what I coach and teach people with. I live at a beachfront wellness retreat, or live, work at a beachfront wellness um, retreat here in the Dominican Republic, where I also lead that every morning. So I teach new people every morning. I lead this class every day. And then the rest of my day is what I do online.
Right. Okay.
All that
Awesome.
being said, in terms of the gadgets, after that, I'll check Aura once. I'm, against like mindful of EMFs and things. So both of these are always on airplane mode. And
Okay.
I just check the Aura data once a day every morning just to see how the sleep was the night before. I normally have a good idea just by how I feel, but it's nice to be able to see like, oh, did I make that one change yesterday evening and how did that impact things? And yeah, I'll check it once and then it goes right back into airplane mode. But it's another thing that I like to share information about. And, in terms of what I'm describing, like when we have the data to back it up, if I tell you, my energy is high and I'm calm and relaxed, I have a resting heart rate of 39 and an HRV of 110. Uh, and for those who know biometrics, like
That's impressive.
those are when you start improving each of those areas, you start feeling differently for sure.
HRV 110. That's nuts.
2 days ago it was 123,
You are kidding me
but
here.
who's
Wow.
tracking?
Wow. That's highly impressive. I mean, the 39 is very impressive. I don't get down to that, but that's just the way it is. I get to about 43, 44. But my HRV never that high. I've never been close to 3 figures yet. That's nuts. So how much sleep do you get on average? Do you know? Just out
Yeah,
of interest.
typically between 7.5 to 8 hours.
good. Okay. Okay. I get the same. I just, yeah. I mean, people know what I say to people when they say, how do I get more sleep? I said, sleep happens in the evening, not in the morning. Because yeah, no one can just sleep in till 8. It's not good anyway. We should be sleeping in. We should be sleeping in the evening, instead of watching another show or whatever it is. So that's my biggest change since many years. I just go to bed. My struggle is when I travel and people want to go for dinner at 8:30. I says 8:30 is when I go to bed. You're in certain countries where, eating late is the norm. Or, if you go to Spain, restaurants aren't even open till 8 or 9. So, good. Let's round out. We have a lot of stuff we can take away from this. I thank you very, very much. This has been amazing. Like I said, I'll link everything. Hopefully people will start follow you. You'll have a few more followers because I do, and I love what you put out. And I love the way you say you've got this whole array of things that you do. You're doing 5 things in 16 minutes. Amazing. If we can find that time in the morning, amazing. All right, just a few quick fire questions before we close it out. Maybe have you do one movement that nobody has ever seen before. Have a think. Obviously, these are stupid questions for you now because we've just spent 45 minutes talking about it. But stillness or movement, what overweighs? If you had to choose one now, what would you do?
I mean, I'd say getting to stillness through movement.
Excellent. Wow, excellent. You've just spoken about the morning routine and evening reset. I gather you do both, so you can't choose one. You've just described your morning routine.
Yeah. So if I have to choose,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd probably the morning. I mean, they're both very important, but the morning is key.
Excellent. To get you down, to get you going for the day, yeah?
Uh-huh.
I think that's the last question now. What's the most underrated recovery tool that you see, because you work with so many people, newbies, experienced people? What do people don't even realize is in front of their face in terms of a recovery tool, whatever that can be? I know you show a lot of things. I'm just interested now, personally, which one you will choose.
Yeah. Well, when you said tool, my brain starts thinking about all the different tools, but when you say most underrated, I mean, it makes me think like we have everything that we need. And, the body or movement would probably be the most underrated tool that people aren't necessarily making as good of use as they could. But if I had to even be even more strict about it, I would say the breath. Because some people, can't do whatever movements or running or stretching or working out or whatever, but we can all breathe. And if we had a really good grasp or knowledge or understanding or making use of our breath to whether it's improve our energy or focus or calmness, whatever it is, which it can do each of those absolutely, then, people will be lining up out the door to buy that. Except
Exactly.
we're buying every different kind of gadget or whatever. So I'm sure if you have other people that are here to explain gadgets, I'm here to tell everyone, hey, you just need, better implementation of the basics. And yeah, the breath I think is extremely underrated, and it's made a profound impact on my overall state and performance or ability to optimize my life, and whether that's, heading forward in a certain direction or just what we talked about in terms of contentness and happiness, and the breath is very powerful to be able to help with that.
Perfect. Yeah, see, people see tools. I know it was a bit of a tricky question, but tool doesn't have to be something tangible, doesn't have to be a tangible item. I mean, in ultramarathon running, we always talk about our toolbox, our tool tool belt that we need when it gets really hard after a few hours. You know, some of the events take days, right? Nowadays, we've got all these backyard ultras and 200-milers, 300-mile events, 100-mile events where people go for 1, 2, 3 nights. So you need to have your toolbox full. So before we close, one simple movement, then people can start implementing now without giving any of your special, tricks away. But one little movement, then people can start doing like in the morning or whenever they feel stressed or whatever. What would you recommend?
Yeah, I would say lymphatic hops or lymphatic shakes where you're just standing up. And if
Yeah.
you're capable and able to hop off the ground, you would just make sure your feet are getting about, an inch or more off of the ground.
Okay. So you just lift. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And we're staying very loose and relaxed in our shoulders. And, it's getting energy flowing up and down the body, up and down the spine. We're shaking everything loose, getting rid of any stagnant energy or any tension in certain areas. Our shoulders, our neck always holds a lot of tension. And when that happens, we can be, just not feeling well. So it shakes a lot of that out, loosens it up. And yeah, if someone's not able to hop off the ground, then they can still stand up kind of like this. And if they can see me on camera, and just, move
Yeah.
up and
Without
down
lifting the feet.
lightly
Yeah.
with
Okay.
our knees shaking up and down. Yeah,
Excellent.
without necessarily lifting the feet. That would be a really good one. And then just one more if someone, isn't able to do either of those for whatever reason, something that we can do to reset the tension and just get more energy flowing through our head is just doing some breathing where we breathe up through our nose and look up, and then out through our mouth and look down. We would do that for about 10 times. And even just those two right there can be a quick reset at any point in time. You have a few minutes before your next call or whatever it is, you do, 30 to 60 seconds of those hops and then this up and down breathing, and, your state is changed.
Thank you so very much. I hope people are out there jumping up and down already and breathing the right way. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you so much, Zach. Let's hope we bump into each other somewhere and I can get a proper session done. Thanks a lot. Signing out, people.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
great
Thank you,
connecting,
Zach.
Mario.
Thank you very much. That's it for this episode, folks. As we wrap up, I want to honor the traditional custodians of the land I'm recording on and pay my respects to elders past and present. May we continue to listen, learn, and tread lightly wherever we run. If today's episode sparked something in you, hit that share button, leave a review, or drop a comment on Spotify or YouTube. Every little bit helps keep the momentum going. Or even if you've got a question, feedback, or just want to say hi, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep moving, stay curious, and never forget, showing up is the hardest and bravest stride of all.